What's it like down there?
Well, obviously, it's incredibly silent. What a scary moment that was. But I've gotten a report that Grant is responsive. He knows where he is. He is not sure what happened, but he was able to squeeze a hand when requested and move his legs.
Wow.
So at least there's that. But like I said, absolutely silent on the field and lots of emotion seeing that moment.
I mean, it's hard to say good news, but those are small positive signs that are really, really good to hear. Now the ambulance taking away Grant Lindsley. There's a conversation going on down at the other end of the field. You see the pony huddle. The coaches and leaders of the teams have gathered with USA Ultimate staff, I think, to talk about what's next. Ben Van Hoefelen is a brilliant ultimate coach and a really kind and thoughtful human being. And, I don't know what you can possibly say in this moment in a huddle, but I think he might be my first draft pick to address a team in a huddle in this moment. And BVH addressing Pony, truck stop over there as well. And this is now a minute or two after the ambulance has gone away. But we'll see what happens here. Game began with a truck break. Pony held on a huck from Harper Garvey to Sam Little. And it was the first Pony deep point. Grant's first opportunity to take the field, and just a collision with Aaron Bartlett, who's a youngster, young prospect, University of Michigan student.
And we're starting to see some DC players participating in warm-up or warm-up-esque activities with throws, running, other plyometrics. We're waiting for some kind of word from USAU on if, how, and when this game might resume, but the warm-up activities do seem like an indication that we could be resuming play soon.
So much hype and anticipation for this game and this matchup. And look, there are always hiccups the first couple days of nationals, and the staff has to make adjustments to schedules and field assignments, and there are injuries and trainers get called over. I think the first 2.5 days of nationals went about as smoothly as they could have. And this is just what we all love about the game, the best of the best competing in a beautiful place like this. Coverage, streaming the action and activity out to the entire world. And no one could have envisioned something like this coming into sight. We'll take another quick break. See what happens here in New York and DC in the men's semifinal.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Grant Lindsley, a star in this sport for an awfully long time, suffering a scary injury. He's been taken off in an ambulance. Both coaching staffs, along with USA Ultimate staffers, have been conversing about how to proceed, and Megan Tormey was within an earshot. She's got an update. Megan.
USAU officials have decided to restart that point entirely. They reset the clock to prior to that point going up. They're checking in with Pony to ensure they're good with that plan, but presuming they are, they're just going to restart that point entirely.
Any sense on when they envision resuming the game? Obviously, there's no rush, and I want to wait for everybody to be ready. But Megan, any word on that?
Once I go get confirmation that Pony is on board with a plan to restart that point, I'll let you know if there's a time frame for restarting the game.
If you heard the applause in the background, that was the public address announcer sharing news that Grant was responsive, as you heard from Megan's report. So a small word of comfort for the spectators to take in.
So, Ian, I mean, there's no natural way to segue from what happened to thinking about the game. As a competitor who's been on the semifinal stage at Nationals, can you imagine resuming a game after something like this happened and sort of channeling the intensity required to compete for a spot in the national championship game? I mean, it's hard to fathom how you do that and compartmentalize it.
Yeah, I'll be the first to tell you that whether we're talking about trying to deal with a tragedy or responding to a personal mistake on the field, I was never the most gifted or talented in the mental stability or compartmentalization realm. It was something that I struggled with quite a bit throughout my playing career. I think there are a lot of players on this field who are a lot more experienced in that realm and have had plenty of high pressure situations that maybe they can draw some kind of analogy to try and work themselves to a more even keel place, just focused on the competition at hand. I really can't imagine it, and I just hope that these players are able to find the space mentally to not only share concern, but also compete at top form. And I understand that that's a Herculean ask and may be impossible in these circumstances.
It's been nearly half an hour since the incident where Grant Lindsley collided with DC's Aaron Bartlett running down for a pull, ambulance taking him away. And we just got a text message saying a 3:15 start, which is about 8-9 minutes from now. Don't want to spoil Megan's report. Megan, we're going down to the sideline. Megan, are you hearing anything down there?
Yeah, I am. That is indeed the time that we are going to start again. You notice players taking the opportunity to warm back up, and then we are going to begin that point again, the point in which Grant Lindsley got injured. They're going to re-pull that point.
I just saw Brian Jones and Darryl Stanley share a moment. I mean, those two guys play Rocket League together and spend hours on computer headsets in their respective homes, talking Ultimate, talking about moments like this, what's it going to be like, matchups, everything related to Frisbee and coaching and psychology and strategy. And, you know, there are a lot of close relationships, you know, from one team to the other, obviously. Certainly the coaches and these competitors. Wow. We are about 7-8 minutes away from restarting this semifinal, and certainly a turn that none of us could have expected. Grant Lindsley, we are hoping, praying for all the best.
When moderate to severe ulcerative colitis persists, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once daily pill.
When UC got unpredictable, I got rapid symptom relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When UC held me back, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when UC got the upper hand,
Rinvoq helped visibly repair the colon lining. Check. Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and a chance to visibly repair the colon lining. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC in check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie could help.
With Daisy sour cream, every bite gets better. Every dollop, every squeeze, every moment together. Pop it off, pick it up. You can never get enough when you do a dollop all day. Good food tastes better with a dollop of Daisy. Do a dollop, do a dollop, yeah. Everything tastes better with a dollop of Daisy.
Fall moments made easy. That's totally Target.
Go, 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 go.
Here's the thing about wrong turns.
What the heck was that?
Because you never know
Hey,
where your next wrong turn will take you.
look at this.
Wow. Wow.
After a terrifying collision between Grant Lindsley and Aaron Bartlett, as so it's 10 minutes past 3 o'clock here in San Diego. We're about 5 minutes away from restarting the game after a terrifying collision between Grant Lindsley and Aaron Bartlett, as Lindsley ran down on the pole for the Pony D line, third point of the game. Megan Tormey is down on the sideline and has an update for us. Megan.
Thanks, Evan. I checked in with Pony coach Brian Jones just to ask how the team was doing, and he said, well, about as you would imagine after witnessing one of their team members go down with an injury like that. So I asked him, what did they chat about in the huddle that we saw them having after Lindsley was taken away in an ambulance? And he said, we stress the importance of acknowledging the emotions that you're feeling right now. Whatever you're feeling is totally fine. So process that. And as we start to near game time again, let's slowly start to think back about the game and get ourselves ready for that.
Obviously much easier said than done. But Ben Van Hoevelen's coached the USA national team, played for Pony, captain Pony, coach Pony. And just such a, this team has had such a personality for years. Obviously building off the success that New York Ultimate had in the 80s and 90s, and kind of Pony of the rebirth of men's ultimate in New York City. It took them a while to build up to the nationally competitive semifinal level. But ever since 2018, they've been near or at the top of the sport with the best players in the world. It seems like they get better every year, add new players and new pieces and new superstars every year. Great leadership, and they add in Cody Mills, former Revolver coach, and Cal Poly Slow coach, and an ultimate mind that is widely respected across the sport. And now Pony and Truck Stop too, trying to regain some semblance of composure and sense of the moment. Like, this is a national semifinal game. Johnny Bravo's awaiting the winner. Tomorrow's championship game got to be just as challenging for the Truck Stop guys, led by Alex Crew and Daryl Stanley.
And worth mentioning that while Truck Stop was huddling up and preparing to retake the field here, Aaron Bartlett was not a part of that huddle. And he is still over at the medical tent. He's been putting his hand on his left shoulder, which I believe was the initial point of contact with Lindsley. But he is still seated at the medical tent as we get started or prepare to restart this game.
Sam Little, one of the captains, addressing Pony right here. Observer Daniel Wong gave the 1 minute or 2 minute message. Wow, I mean, this is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen, Ian. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens, and Grant Lindsley will not be far from our minds at any point as these teams try to rediscover the intensity necessary to compete in a moment like this. Oh boy, here we go. Knowing Grant the way I do, obviously I hope he's okay, and I imagine he would want Pony to give it their all and try and get to the finals.
No question, and it's obvious that everyone here at the complex still has Grant on their minds, but we're starting to feel that sense of energy and buzz slowly return to the atmosphere here.
Marquez Brownlee pulls. First O point for Truck Stop in the game. When you're envisioning this type of situation for months, years, you never envision a psychological hurdle like the one everyone's dealing with now. Hard to envision either team could be 100% full speed right now, but we'll see. Here's Rowan McDonald and the D for Antoine Davis. And that will help snap Pony out of a mental funk. Ben Spielman picks up, gets it to John Randolph. Conrad Schlor. Marquez Brownlee can't get it. Another scary collision with Rowan McDonald coming flying in, but there's no call, and it will be Truck Stop's disc on the block.
And I love that effort from Rowan. Clearly not the defender assigned to that, but he made up ground, saw the disc was hanging, and applied extra pressure. Couldn't tell on the replay exactly which finger got on it, though.
Rowan making contact with his teammate, Johnny Malks, his podcast teammate, too. One throw at a time. Christian Boxley feeds it to a stumbling, but Tyler Monroe able to stay on his feet. We haven't talked about Cole Jurek yet in the broadcast, Ian, but this guy, as I said, he pool play at the other fields. He's a rookie on Truck Stop. Feels like he's developed chemistry worth a decade with how in sync he is with his Truck Stop teammates.
I think that's a great
stars of the U.S. Open. Truck Stop won back in Minnesota.
I think that's a great characterization. The way he's able to make these small, dribbling, short space passes and also stretch the field. You'd think he had the chemistry of a player with significantly more time and reps with this group.
Ben Spielman, I think, thought Monroe called a foul. Monroe wanted to play on. Spielman thought there was a call. I guess if there's a completion after a marking foul, play continues. I think Spielman's contention was the foul came before the throw. So Jonathan Monforti, himself, the USAU Club National Champion, will add to the conversation.
Yes. So observer ruling, it was a foul on the throw. Okay, so it's going to come back to Cole. No, you are the continuation.
Jonathan Monforti, that observer, was a member of the 2009 Atlanta Chain Lightning national champion team. He may have been teammates with Grant a few years earlier playing for Chain.
Lots of great players have come and gone through Atlanta. From the club scene, from their youth scene.
Cole Jurek, about 6 yards away. Resets it back to Andrew Roy. Like Jurek is in his first year playing for Truck Stop. Rowan McDonald, the Truck veteran, over to Jacques Nissen with his college teammate John Randolph on the mark. This Brown battle throughout the game. Those guys have gone at each other in so many practices in college. To the end zone, and it's Jurek. Out of the reach of the closing fast Antoine Davis. And DC holds in our first point after the injury. Puts DC in front 2-1.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
and even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
a place where we remember to laugh,
where we learn to trust,
learn to high-five strangers,
and eventually even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play ultimate, we live ultimate.
Truck Stop leads Pony 2-1. Aaron Bartlett, involved in the collision with Grant Lindsley, has been over at the medical tent. Megan, you have an update on Aaron Bartlett?
Yeah, I spoke with Truck Stop David Bloodgood about Bartlett, and he said Bartlett has a cut on his head and is getting checked for concussion. He's obviously rattled by the play that occurred. He seems to be okay, but still they're making sure, just based on the impact that occurred, they're making sure that he's okay as well.
Makes sense. Thanks, Megan. Pony back on offense for the first time in quite a while. They were broken on the first point of the game after an errant reset from Sean Keegan and Jimmy Mickle. Set up the Jasper Tom assist to Cody Wood. Luke Rafis stride for stride with Sam Little. Little into the end zone for Keegan.
Well, listen,
Pony has something to celebrate there.
Well, Megan was alluding to this in some of her opening hit comments, and Daryl Stanley told us before the game he doesn't want to see big ultimate from New York. He doesn't want to see Jimmy Mickle getting a free deep. He doesn't want to see Ben Yacht getting a free deep. He doesn't want to see Antoine going to the house and scoring on a first throw after a turnover. And so far, sure, there may have been a deep shot from Garvey to Little, but it looks like Truck Stop's defense isn't conceding any of that big ultimate in the first few D points of this game.
Two all. Only 3 turnovers in the game's first 4 points. Expect turnovers to be at a premium. Truck Stop only turned it over 5 times in their 15-11 win over Pony in North Carolina at the Pro Championships. Pony back on defense. Clark Kofer launches the pull. Truck stop centers to Andrew Roy. And an O-line with Johnny Malks and Owen McDonald. Several others. They center to Andrew Roy, first-year guy. Here's David Cranston downfield getting a look on offense. And a pick downfield brings it back to Cranston.
This is something we've seen DC do in high-pressure situations. Bring one of those stalwarts like Cranston over to provide some extra insurance should there be a turnover. And what an opportunity for him after all he's been through with this truck stop program. Even longer tenure than Tyler Monroe, with a chance to earn his first championship berth. I mean, right now, the longest tenured player on the roster is Jeff Wodach.
Cranston is not far off. Monroe squeezes it through, and then Nissen connects with one of the Norbombs. That's Gus in the end zone for Truck. One of the three.
We talked a little bit about the win, both in the women's semifinal broadcast and earlier in this broadcast, and Truck Stop's offense was going with the wind slightly at its back, but it also, as you saw here, made every effort to not let the disc get trapped on that flick sideline, which isn't really truly a downwind sideline, but there's a diagonal wind approaching that sideline that would make that an especially difficult throw to get off that mark. And you can see every single effort, high release backhand, cheeky inside shot, all variations of small ball, intentional work to keep that disc as close to the right-handed backhand sideline as possible.
Jeremy Hess launching the pull for DC. It's a floater, giving Truck Stop a chance to get down, and Harper Garvey forced to kind of retreat into his own end zone to take the centering pass. And he gets a big chunk gainer, about 20 yards, to Ben Yacht, who hits Jimmy Mickle for another 10. The Jimmy shimmy and the reset for Garvey. Sam Little, every Ultimate player's favorite glue guy. Back to Garvey. And yeah. And a stoppage. Ian, what do you think of the matchups we're seeing? Musa Jaz.
Most people just see a disc. At Discraft, we see over 40 years of innovation, driven by passion, consistency that inspires talent, Built on a foundation. Designed for success. Over 4 decades of experience. Behind your first throw.
Well, here's another look at DC Truck Stop's 4th goal of the game. You're going to see Rowan McDonald somewhat isolated there, and anyone who's done their film study knows that for all the talk we do about DC's small ball dribbling offense, this group also has the ability to stretch the field in just 1 or 2 throws. And Johnny Malks did that to Pony multiple times in the Pro Championships final. Once again, right there on that point, a simple swing going up, and then the deep shot, and just perfect execution there from Malks and McDonald. So they do a good job of balancing out their play calls and attack. So right when you want to key in on that tight small ball play, you might get burned, and also have to pay attention to their ability to stretch the field.
A bid from David Bloodgood, and he does not contest the foul call from Harper Garvey. As we check in with Megan.
Evan, an interesting note about Johnny Malks. His rookie year was the first year that Truck Stop made it to semifinals in 2017, but he had started that year as a practice player. An injury in the roster enabled him to bump up. He's returning to Truck Stop after hiatus, and Coach Daryl Stanley says, hey, maybe he's the secret weapon that gets us to semifinals.
Johnny was 18 5 years ago when the Truck Stop team first made semis in Sarasota. Replay certainly showed a strip from Bloodgood on Garvey. No contest, and now Keegan's got it on the sidelines. Benyat to Little.
Seeing some of those matchups changing this point. Hess now on Yacht and Cranston on Mickle, something we've seen even more frequently than Hess on Mickle.
What do you think of the backhand force here?
I like it. I need to think more critically about it for a second. I like changing it up. On the one hand, it does expose you to a little bit of through on that first throw and give the thrower the advantage in a throw-and-go situation. If we're talking about right-handed throwers.
Yacht looking for Lithio, and he's got him. So after the Lindsley injury, each team turned it once on the ensuing third point that ultimately ended with Jurek scoring. Since then, that's 5 straight points with no turns for either side as the offenses calmly, coolly work it down the field. And it's 4-all here in the first half between Pony and Truck Stop.
There's nothing really out of character here, but this is exactly what we were talking about what we need from Ben Yacht in the open. He has to be that multifaceted offensive contributor that he's proven to be in the past, and you saw him stepping up with the underneath, the nice continuation shot, reading the downwind conditions well, and putting it perfectly on a platter for Lithio to run onto.
John Lithio looking for his first club title. Played at small D3 Hope College in Michigan. Lithio turned 29 in July and certainly has looked very comfortable in high pressure, high leverage situations for a top team like Pony. And we're seeing signals as if a team went offside, and I think it was Pony.
And I don't mean to beat the dead horse about the wind conditions, but we saw Clark Kofer pulling upwind. We've seen Marquez Brownlee pulling upwind. Those are guys that can normally reach the opposing end zone or come close to it. And we've seen the disc fully turn over despite their inside-out releases. So that gives you a sense of just how stiff the wind is for these pullers. And it's giving these offenses a couple extra yards of advantageous field position.
Nissen and Gus Norbaum in the backfield. Johnny Malks coming underneath from the stack. Here's Tyler Monroe with Antoine Davis on the mark. Rowan McDonald bumped by Conrad Schlor as they touch the sideline.
I mean, that's a common intentional strategy in the highest levels of the game. I'm going to contact you from stall -1 to stall 0 and make you uncomfortable as you gain your footing with the disc in your hand.
Is that good intensity, or is that something that's not quite as kosher in your mind? Yikes. There's some contact. John Randolph colliding with Gus Norbaum. That's a foul.
That's an incredibly fine line. I think I've been a part of teams that have been incredibly frustrated by it, as we see a yellow card issued there, Evan. Sorry. At the same time, there are some levels of physicality that have just become ingrained in the culture of high-level play. And I understand we've got a self-officiated sport here as we have another stoppage. I understand we've got a self-officiated sport, but sometimes that line and gray area, there's obviously not agreement among the players who are making the calls and trying to be the arbiters of where that line is.
Conrad Schlor marking Rowan McDonald. Here's Johnny Malks. Gets the backhand around Ben Katz's outstretched arm. Nissen almost faked himself out, but the lefty backhand floats long enough for Johnny Malks. And up the line, perfectly placed again by Malks. This time, Tyler Monroe scores the goal for Truck Stop.
Love the point to the camera from Monroe right afterwards. As earlier in the sequence, here's Nissen. Stall count was rising, had his body weight shifted one direction, knew he had to get the disc off with a throw into space. They love that space reset throw when there's not an extra defensive poach in the area. Malks leaves his feet, and I mean, this is the kind of stuff that DC's offense has made its living on. I'm just going to isolate you at the front of the stack, and I'm going to beat you, either with a creative outside in throw to the inside out lane, a trust throw that the defense doesn't have a chance on. It's hard to say that there's a definitive prescribed progression of looks for these guys because they are just so adaptable and experienced that they can react in the moment to what leverage the defense is trying to pressure and apply and pull a lever to a more advantageous offensive spot.
6 straight points with no turnovers. And another short pull. Only goes about 50 yards in the air. Jimmy Mickle in the backfield. Harper Garvey is sprinting deep, bringing Zach Norbaum long, and now coming back underneath. Garvey shooting it. Keegan chased by Bloodgood. Keegan has the goal for Pony. A little bit of contact there with Bloodgood in the end zone, but Keegan's not a guy that shies away from contact.
I think they were both okay with that. I saw Bloodgood trying to hold up. As soon as his last foot hit the ground. I've been thinking more about your question, Evan. I didn't want to dodge it. What do you think about the backhand force? The interesting thing about the backhand force, as we get another look at this wonderful deep shot from Garvey to Keegan, is when you want to break the mark going downwind, those high release elevator backhands can be especially deadly and especially difficult to mark against. Sure, you can keep that right hand high against a traditional right-handed thrower, but we've seen in other windy games in years past, I'm thinking about Brown versus Colorado in the semis and at the college championships in 2019 when Mac Hecht just kept throwing high-release backhand after high-release backhand and gating chunks and chunks of yardage. That is a risk that you might be exposing yourself to. It's not quite as easy to pull that off when the defense has a flick force on. Sure, it's possible, but you just have to be mindful of that risk, and I'm sure that those marking minutia and where to place your hands and what throws you're okay with giving up are instructions that Stanley and crew have given in great detail to their squad.
Yeah, the marking details are incredibly specific, second by second in the stall count. McDonald for Jurek. And we saw Raleigh Ring of Fire last year. Masterful in the way they possessed the disc against the pony pressure in the final. There's some similarities and some differences to the way that Truck Stop does it, and that one looked a little risky, but it worked perfectly again as Christian Boxley hauls in his first goal of the game from Andrew Roy. DC 6, New York 5, first half.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Well, this is starting to feel a little bit like a semifinal again. Certainly Grant Lindsley not far from anybody's minds. But the offense is kind of as we expected. And both teams have great defenders to throw at the offenses, different strategies and weapons. But right now kind of has a similar feel to the final from Nationals last year with Ring and Pony.
No question. These offenses just going blow for blow, and right now the margin seems incredibly small. Just one or two turnovers on the, I beg your pardon, one turnover on the first point.
Yep, for the only break.
Being the difference for the only break.
Mickle marked by Cranston. Let's go the backhand. Sam Little has steps and beats Musa Ja for the Pony score.
So that's one of those goals that I think Daryl Stanley wouldn't necessarily be thrilled to see, given how quick it was, given how much field space was eaten up by a single throw. And this is not to take anything away from Little or Mickle. Great work getting the separation. You just saw Little motioning, wondering which defenders were in the area as he celebrated, and of course, expertly delivered by Mickle.
Well, there was a poorly executed switch there near the back of the stack. Musa Ja was initially guarding someone else other than Little, and did not recognize.
That's a great call. I had my eyes on the thrower. That's great recognition.
Benyat's going to steal a point on defense here for Pony.
Going to pull, too. We'll see if he can get any extra distance relative to Brownlee or Kofer.
A little bit. That's 60, no, 70, 72 yards on that last pull from Benyat. Truck going downwind again.
Look how far off Jabron Meeser is on the mark there on Jurek and staying pretty flat.
What's he trying to accomplish with that?
I think he's trying to widen his angles of release and push the disc out to the side.
To not get beat directly vertically upfield.
Or with a skinny inside shot close. Again, we weren't in the huddles to hear the play call, and there could be specific marking instructions unique to each player. But that's an educated guess from up here.
McDonald laser to Andrew Roy for the score.
Well, so often we see DC use these Oyos for simple 5 to 7 yard gainers. And again, by Oyos, I mean outside in throws to the inside out lane. Rowan's being forced flick here as he eventually gets the disc in the red zone. We see Nissen clear out, and then Rowan comes back for it. And ideally, Schlor takes away that third of the field with his mark, but here, McDonald, this is a 20-plus yard gainer with the Oyo.
Is there any team in Ultimate that executes the Oyo better than Truck Stop?
Right now, it's hard to say that anyone else does. I don't think so. I mean, that throw was also somewhat reminiscent of Ashland Joy. I think that's a throw I've seen him make before. That look wasn't always as prevalent, but you look at that revolver cutting group, the triangle cuts coming out of its side stack, trying to break the mark after a quick little shimmy. Oftentimes he could get enough separation to not have to require the outside in release, but he did deploy that at points.
Ashland Joy, a 5-time champion in the club division with San Francisco Revolver. A Revolver team that really kind of saw its dynasty end on this field against Pony 4 years ago. Revolver still here at Nationals, but a different era as Mickle unleashes a monster flick. Harper Garvey runs it down inbounds. Mickle mania on that laser of a forehand missile. 7-all.
Underestimate Harper Garvey as a receiver at your own peril. How about the cheeky high release offhand from Keegan to get Mickle in that advantageous hucking position slightly on the break side? And then Jimmy just using the wind as a propeller at his back, putting that in the back corner, and Garvey using the speed to outrun Bloodgood. I shouldn't say I'm surprised. That's the wrong characterization, but that's just another reminder of how versatile all of the pieces on this Pony offense are. Wonderful work there by Harper Garvey mixing it up.
And that's one of those throws where you wish you had like a microchip in the disc to tell you the rotation, revolution speed, and the velocity, and the force and torque of that Jimmy flick.
We're in the MLB postseason. We need the exit velocity as that disc leaves his hand as opposed to the ball leaving a bat.
Folks here in San Diego enjoying the postseason so far. Big game today for the Padres. Meanwhile, Brian Jones and Pony taking a timeout, and they're going to get a D-line on the field here to try to get the break back and take it to half. That's a huge point. Truck Stop is going to receive the next 2 points in this game. And it's very possible that Pony could be down 9-7 before they touch the disc again on offense, unless the defense can make something happen. The crowd's starting to rediscover the energy. Obviously a first half marred by one of the scariest moments we've ever seen at an Ultimate tournament, with Grant Lindsley getting injured, getting taken away in an ambulance. Each team had one turnover the first point after we resumed, and there have been no turns since. 3 total turns in the first half. The 1 for Truck Stop, the 2 for Pony.
Benyat crossing over once again. We know how important this D point is. New York desperate to get this game back on serve.
Sam Little, Chris Kocher crossing over as well. Out there with Meeser, Alati, Randolph, and Schlor. Truck starts with Andrew Roy in the middle. And McDonald coming underneath. Jurek is next. Forehand mark from Pony here.
That's just how powerful Tyler Monroe is. Ben Yacht's guarding him in isolation. He knows he's setting that up for an underneath, and he still gets to the spot first.
And plenty of room to spare, too. Separation was created. Gus Norbaum takes a timeout about 9 yards away from the end zone. Stall count was getting high, and Truck Stop will reset their alignment. Gus Norbaum, he and his twin brother Adam are 24. Older brother Zach is 27. And this Truck Stop team 1 point away from taking it to half. And look, national championship is far and away the greatest achievement you can get in Club Ultimate. But it'll be a little extra special for Truck Stop considering they also won the U.S. Open. And they also won the Pro Championships. They are going for the Triple Crown, which hasn't happened in the men's division, I think, since Pony did it in 2018. Here's a look at the Summer of Ultimate. Bravo won the Co-Cup in Aurora, Colorado back in early July. Man, that feels like a long time ago. Before World Games, before
the World Clubs.
But the two biggest tournaments of the season, U.S. Open in Blaine in early August, and then Labor Day weekend in Raleigh, won by this D.C. team. And look, you can't say they came out of nowhere. Like, they've always kind of been in the mix, but they have upped their level significantly. When you're the number one seed coming into nationals, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. Some chatter, could they fulfill those expectations? A turnover. It was off Malks' hand, just over the defender Randolph's shoulder.
I think at first the crowd was shocked at how close the disc went to Randolph without either contacting him or him recognizing how close it was.
If Pony can score here, we'll be back on serve. But it'll be a huge goal in terms of taking it to half. It'll mean that Truck Stop will have to get a break to win.
Remember, Pony working upwind here, and great work to chunk up that yardage.
Good defense by Norbaum on Alati. Little goes around the stack and throws it away. Well, Little identified the space, but Yacht not totally on the same page, and a tough angle with the traffic to put the sufficient float on that disc.
I feel for Little. The stall count was rising. He felt the pressure to take a shot. This hindsight could be overly simplistic. I would have loved to see him use New York's last time out of the half there before opting for that. But again, easy for us to say after that pass has hit the turf.
Shooting it for Boxley. Kocher chasing. Can't catch him. Truck Stop takes it to half as Christian Boxley runs it down.
What a swing of events. DC calls a timeout. Turns it over immediately after the timeout. New York is so patient, working it all the way up the field, unfazed by the upwind conditions. And then the crossfield turnover on the goal line. And how about this shot from Rowan McDonald? Is there anyone who has a better understanding of all the different release points, all the different angles that you can release the disc in any kind of wind condition? If you've watched any of his Excel Ultimate Academy or other videos, you know he's thought about every permutation possible.
And Boxley wins the matchup there. The Georgetown alum edging the GW alum in that one-on-one battle going into the deep space. 8-7 Truck. Megan Tormey standing by with Truck coach Alex Crew.
Thanks so much, Evan. Coach, how do you feel about your team's performance this first half?
Honestly, I feel pretty good. I mean, the D-line's doing a good job. They're hitting some really hard throws with really great execution. I mean, that's what Jimmy Mickle, Chris Kotcher, they do these things. I feel good about defensively how we're looking. Offense, it's moving high tempo. This is what we're looking for. It's what practice has been like. High tempo, ultimate, really trying to make sure that pace is pushed. So very happy there.
I spoke with Coach Daryl Stanley about the plan going into this game, and he said you were looking to stop those long continuation throws. It certainly have, but we've seen a couple of Mickle hucks that have made it for very short offensive points. Are there any adjustments you plan to enact in the second half?
I mean, we're going to be working on that. There's a couple small adjustments on the mark on Mickle. I mean, he's a guy who forces you to change your game plan for what you do for everyone else. You go a step further, you have to be a little bit more over because he's just got that length, he's got that release point, and he knows he can hit it from there. So we'll adjust individually there on how we're going to handle that one.
Talking about Truck Stop this season, the addition of David Bloodgood, Johnny Malks, and Andrew Roy, again, certainly have added a layer of talent that I'm sure you love. But talk a little bit about those players and what they add in terms of culture and how that's made a difference this season.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, we have a tremendous balance of strong cultural voices on the team. David Bloodgood, Andrew Roy, they bring a very strong, both a funny and a very technical and tactical voice. We've got other guys. Cole he's a guy who's just very focused on doing what he wants to do, making sure he gets the one thing right. Troy Holland is that way. David Cranston is, about what are the couple things we're going to get right. Fall brings energy. There's a lot of great pieces, and what's a lot of fun with a team like this is letting them all have their space. When that's the voice we need, we just turn to them. So it's been a lot of fun.
All right. Well, best of luck in the second half. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And back to you, Evan.
Thank you, Megan. Certainly a first half that included everything. Terrifying moments, plenty of action. DC up a break, 8-7.
This is the moment for a treatment for moderate to severe eczema. Sabinco, FDA approved. 100% steroid free, not an injection. Sabinco is a once daily pill for adults who didn't respond to previous treatments. And Sabinco helps provide clearer skin and less itch. Sabinco can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB. Before and during treatment, your doctor should check for infections and do blood tests. Tell your doctor if you've had hepatitis B or C, have flu-like symptoms, or are prone to infections. Do not take with medicines that prevent blood clots, serious, sometimes fatal infections.
Harper Garvey impacting that first half as a thrower and a receiver. That shot to Sean Keegan tied the game at 5. Andrew Roy, very solid performance. Christian Boxley with the first of his 2 goals in the half. I think we've seen probably a few more deep shots than maybe we expected, but well executed by both teams. There's a decent downwind upwind situation, but the wind certainly not impacting the game too much in terms of the inability to complete passes, because we've only had 5 turnovers and 15 points.
Yeah, I wonder if this game changes at all if either team finds themselves in a situation where it needs to huck upwind. Whether that's someone who has to convert a break to claw back into things or not. We can play the what-if game all afternoon long, but that could be an especially decisive moment.
Truck stop on offense for the 2nd straight point. Jeff Wodach gets a touch. Johnny Malks. Truck is going into the wind to start the second half. Nissen around Brownlee, who was running with the throw. McDonald for Jurek. Certainly gray duck flavor to both these teams. Jurek for Truck, Yacht.
Look at McDonald just punishing that switch right away, cutting off his upline cut and essentially getting the upline cut at a 45-degree angle instead of continuing up the sideline.
Hammer from Nissen to a wide-open Wodach. So wide open, you'd think maybe there's a call, but there's not. And Pony, hands on hips, looking around, saying, how did that happen?
It's hard to draw up a better point, a better open to the second half for Truck Stop. Working upwind, even going over the top into the wind, and now this Truck Stop squad gets to apply the pressure to the Pony squad with the wind at its back. And now Pony has to prove, hey, we can punch back going into the wind. You know, I guess I was a little bit surprised. I understand that Truck Stop's offense does have huckers that can throw into the wind, and it does have talented receivers. I was a little bit surprised that Pony was conceding any unders on that point. I'm not going to be one to question Brian Jones's game plan. He's done more film study than I could ever do in my entire life. But that surprised me, and I want to keep an eye on how this defense does or doesn't adjust over the next couple points.
We hear you calling Brian out, and we'll let him respond in an appropriate way at the appropriate time. 9-7, DC leads by 2, largest lead of the game for Truck Stop. Garvey working with Keegan in the backfield. Shooting it from nickel. He wasn't really cutting, but that's going to float long enough onto the shelf, into the wind for Mickle to run it down.
It's a hell of a throw from Sean, and Keegan just stepping right into this, runs his little circle cut to get open, communicates with a pump fake, even sizes it up once, and then pulls the trigger, leading Jimmy in there. And well articulated, Evan. Once that disc got in the red zone, it just kind of hung on the shelf. And silly me for having any questions about this group's ability to huck into the wind.
I wouldn't say silly you on that. That was a great point. And both teams have answered the call and shown yes, they got those throws in these conditions. Pony's 4th huck score of the game. Both teams have a 100% successful completion rate hucking through the first 17 points.
Would we consider that deep shot to Brownlee a huck in the first half? where Rowan McDonald made up the ground.
That's a good point.
With Malks. Maybe a mid-range shot, maybe not a true huck.
Yeah, it's a good point. It was close to a huck. Usually define it about 40 yards.
I'm being overly particular at this point. I'll turn it down.
Calling out the stat guy.
I'll turn it down.
Malks to initiate. Marked by Evan Paget. Jurek for Malks. Very tight space there. Monroe has just an ability to accelerate away from a nearby defender. Nissen into a tight space. The disc is on the ground. But there's a call. Randolph and Gus Norbaum to sort it out. John Randolph picked up a yellow card in the first half.
I'd be surprised if John is contesting this foul. See if any of our observer mics can pick up any of that conversation. John Hamaker
was it like
stepping in?
Like by the distance?
Did you have any contact?
Not on the body. I didn't hit your hand. I was pretty sure I just got this. Okay, I'm ready to go to the other.
Okay. My ruling is not a foul. The contact was after.
Gus Norbaum can't believe it.
I'm not going to lie, that surprises me as well. I might have needed another look at it. We'll see what we can after this point, but
Ben Katz picks up Conrad Schlor, the first cut. Schlor looking to break the mark for JR. And a pick downfield. Called to play. Randolph with the disc. High lefty backhand to Schlor into the end zone. Pony has broken truck for the first time. Evan Paget ties the game 9-all here in the semis. Let's take a look at the controversial call on the play. There's definitely contact with the body. But had the disc been lost before that happened?
you saw the communication there from Randolph to Schlor at the front of the stack. Just kind of the alternate angle we had. All Randolph did was raise his eyebrows at Schlor, and that was Schlor's cue. Hey, this skinny break throw, offhand throw is coming. Be ready for it. I'm still not decisive on where I come down on that foul call. I'm a little troubled by the fact that so much contact happened, even if it was just a second, or, sorry, half a second after maybe there was a hand on the disc.
I agree with you. I thought it looked like a foul, but they called it the way they called it.
And just to be clear, I know John got a yellow card in the first half, but John has been a sportsman-like competitor throughout his career.
We're not saying that should have been a yellow card by any means.
Sure.
It can be a foul and not be a disqualifying yellow. Offsides called on Pony again. Andrew Roy takes it to midfield. Gus Norbaum, Jacques Nissen in the backfield with Roy. Boxley, McDonald, Jurek.
I do love this Boxley-Kocher matchup. That's good speed on speed.
Monroe is well downfield. McDonald. Oh, that throw went right under Marquez Brownlee's left arm. Each team now with exactly 3 turnovers in the game. And Pony won the toss at the outset and chose to receive the opening pull. And that's especially interesting in the aftermath of what happened last year in the finals when Pony chose to start on defense and lost by 1 in a game with an equal number of breaks. A lot of conversation about that afterwards, but because Pony got to half first, Truck got to half first, Pony's in position of needing to break twice, but Kocher comes up with the interception. And a chance for Pony to take their first lead of the game.
Kocher just jumped the inside route. All the scouting, all the film study. There's no question that Truck wanted to get that disc off the line with an inside shot.
You want a ruling on this play? Sure, yeah. I can keep it. Turn it back.
Great positioning by Kocher.
Are we stalling 2?
Not giving any extra buffer on Boxley's inside shoulder. That made it possible for him to accelerate and get his hand on the disc.
Shankalotti throws it into the ground, but there was a foul. Foul on Norbaum, no contest. Take a look.
That angle, I don't see a foul. Perhaps I'm missing something, and I'm happy to look at it again or from alternate angles. Didn't see one from that angle.
Ben Spielman to Chris Kocher. Back to Spielman. To the end zone, and it incomplete. Joshua Stevenstein, the intended target, and he couldn't get there. With a chance to take their first lead. Now can Truck march at 70 the other way. Jurek sending it long, testing Kocher, and he's got his second pick of the point. Call for a travel. Play continues as he resets and taps it in. And then McDonald gets a hand on the under and gets the block for DC. Quick restart. Roy to McDonald. Back to A-Roy. But hold on. Truck celebrating. Was ruled out of the end zone. They restart and throw a scoober, and now the observers signal a Truck stop score. What a sequence, what a point. Kocher gets multiple blocks, and Pony still doesn't score. DC back up 1.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice between beauty and brutality, style and steel, between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in? What if there was a game that found balance between spirit and sport, agony and elation, like a disc dancing on air?
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate. It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops. Like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
So many twists and turns in that last point, Ian, but ultimately Truck Stop able to score McDonald with a D that got it back after Kocher got a pair of blocks on the point.
Rowan's been one of the key pieces and a heart and soul of this truck stop program for so many years over the last decade, and just a phenomenal sequence, putting everything on the line there to get the disc back for his O-line at a really critical juncture here in the second half.
We had as many turns in the last 2 points as we had in the entire first half. Truck led 8-7 at halftime, led 9-7 after the hold to begin the second half, but back-to-back scores, including Pony's first break, tied it at 9. They had it on the goal line with a chance to lead, could not convert. Truck now in front 10-9 with Pony on 0. Garvey and Keegan. Randolph has to leave his feet, but keeps it alive.
Nice work by Keegan. It's not easy to get an up line on Jasper Tom, and it may have only been 1 yard, but an important reset there because Keegan is so good at keeping that disc moving quickly, and that's when Pony's offense is at its best.
What do you think of these Pony jerseys and that kind of horse crown Statue of Liberty logo that we got in the front there?
I'm just so used to the other traditional color scheme.
Nickel up the line for the goal. Yeah, it's a different look, but they're still the same team. 10-10 here in the semis with Johnny Bravo awaiting the winner. But yeah, the turquoise is a different flavor for Pony.
As is the, what do we want to call it, teal? Some kind of weird shade of green from Truck Stop. We've always seen them be red, white, and blue. A phenomenal effort there from Cranston. I mean, he told me before this game, I don't care what happens, I am pouring everything I physically and mentally can into this game. There's no question we're seeing that on display. Selling out, trying to make up ground on that upline cut. That's not something Cranston often does. He doesn't often hit the turf.
Cranston, originally from New York, went to Xavier where he started playing Ultimate about a decade and a half ago. He's been on Truck Stop since 2011. Gold medalist for Team USA at the Beach World Championships in Dubai in 2015. 10-all, Brownlee to pull.
Had a nice time talking with some other members of that delegation last night.
Yeah.
Jack McShane, who was a part of Love Tractor's first quarterfinal berth in program history, and Tyler Kinley, now retired, but a former board member, former champion.
Johnny Moggs looking for Christian Boxley, and the Hawks continue to be pristine here in San Diego in the men's semi.
I think we made this comment back when we were broadcasting the U.S. Open, as we get a look at the high release to get this disc off. Christian Boxley is also playing arguably the best ultimate of his life. He's so difficult to guard downfield. He's got the speed, he's got the agility, and we've seen multiple times here after Truck has turned the disc over, he really locks things down defensively and is able to mirror handlers at the front of those stack spaces, those small little angles where even just a fraction of a window can be all the throwers need to connect.
4 goals now for the 26-year-old Christian Boxley. Jeremy Hess with a spinning pull for Truck.
Bloodgood out of position after selling out there. Points to his teammates for a switch, and Harper Garvey is all alone. They had so much time to recover. I can't believe that throw didn't go up.
And he was alone by 30 yards downfield.
I thought Fred Farah at the back of the stack saw Bloodgood pointing and yelling, and it looked like he was about to peel off and go with Garvey.
Mickle with the disc. Still about 22 minutes away from soft cap, by the way. They added time back onto the clock to not penalize the teams because of the injury in terms of a time standpoint. Alexander Fall went airborne and comes up empty. That guy can fly.
And it's so great to see him doing that after coming back from a really catastrophic knee injury in the last few years.
Yeah. Didn't play all of 2021. Got his speed back and his courage. Cranston tries to block that forehand, forces the backhand, but into the forehand space. Garvey back to Mickle, and a blade finds the turf.
Did Cranston get a finger on it, or was it just enough of his length to challenge that release?
Take a look. I think it's just the release. See Jimmy's reaction to it. He knew immediately, he missed it.
I mean, he's made that throw a zillion times.
Jasper Tom lets it rip. Fall. Can't make the play, but running with it is Fred Farah. And the youngster out of Maryland scores the break.
Once again, we ask the question, who can huck upwind? Last time it was Sean Keegan. This time it's Jasper Tom. They can do it, and Truck Stop ahead, 12-10.
Most people just see a disc. At Discraft, we see over 40 years of innovation, driven by passion, consistency that inspires talent, built on a foundation, designed for success. Over 4 decades of experience behind your first throw.
Missile from Jasper Tom, and a couple deep targets. Fred Farah stays with the play. He's off the screen right now as Alexander Fall slightly misreads it, but Farah runs it down. What a moment for the 21-year-old aerospace engineering major in College Park, Maryland.
I mean, just add that to the catalog of examples of why you should never give up on a deep shot, even if you are not the intended receiver. Sean Keegan, who the huck went up past, was a hero in that regard for Johnny Bravo in the semifinals in 2014 when Brody Smith threw a moon ball intended for Kirk Gibson.
Right. Well, desperate times here for Pony. They need to hold and then break twice.
But the good news for them is if they can hold here, when this D-line pulls, it'll have its wind at its back and able to apply that extra wind pressure to the truck stop offense.
Good point. Randolph out there on O. That tells you how important this point is for New York. Pony likes coming to San Diego. They've made semis all 4 years that Nationals has been here in Southern California in the recent history. Tester, but Kocher is there. Christian Johnson racing by. Active defense downfield from truck stop, and Keegan stepped on his opponent's foot. Maybe it's an equipment timeout, shoelaces. The New York dynasty made semis every year from 1985 to 1995, 11 straight years in which they won 6 national titles. And it's the legacy of New York men's ultimate that this pony team is trying to match. Facing a tremendous DC opponent here. And look, the DC men's ultimate scene has not had a ton of success at national. The DC men's team has never made the final. It's just the 3rd time a DC men's team has made the semi. Truck 5 years ago, and a team called Chesapeake back in 1994.
Well, for so long, both of these ultimate communities used to be thought of as more transient destinations, not places where you put down roots to play ultimate, as Pony gets the ever important hold right there.
Massive important, because now they're pulling downwind, as you said.
But thanks to the commitment of the core group of players in both of these communities, the coaching staffs that have been brought in, the other organizers in the youth scenes there, these are now premier destinations for ultimate. You don't just come through there for a year or two for a stint of work and just happen to play ultimate while you're there. You attract talent from around the country to relocate to DC for ultimate, to relocate to New York for ultimate. And that was not the case in the men's scene before the rebranding to USA Ultimate or before the Triple Crown Tour. Maybe you got to go back to the New York days to really find when that was the time for either of those communities, at least in the men's scene.
Well, we're going to see another New York team in the mixed division later this evening. New York Exist making its first appearance in the semifinals. There was a mixed team in 2000 from New York that made semis, but Exist, with a handful of former Pony players on its roster, will be taking on Seattle Mixtape in just a little bit, about an hour from now. Konrad Schlor. It was so much fun watching him at the World Games, playing for Team Germany. Because I think as a longtime Pony D-line guy, we didn't necessarily see him do everything and be a facilitating thrower and like an every other guy. But he was that at times for Team Germany, and he was unstoppable. It was breathtaking to watch. Pony's happy to have him back, and he's kind of trying to fill the shoes of Jack Hatchett, who was a top Pony D-line star through the World Championships in Ohio, and he was a key member of that team. Got a big block
through the game-winning assist, right?
Yeah, he threw a lot of assists.
And he was so important, I don't mean to cut you off, to Rhino Slam's run to the semifinals, ultimately falling to Johnny Bravo earlier today, as you mentioned.
Second year in a row, Rhino makes the semis, but comes up short in that round. But Johnny Bravo watching this one. Truck stop with the disc, up by a goal. Boxley hangs on. About 15 minutes away from soft cap, if it factors in at all. Stall count rising, and again Monroe gets free. Andrew Roy needs to leave his feet. McDonald over to Malks. Tough throw, Monroe keeps it in. And Christian Boxer lost his balance, making a cut from the back of the stack. Kind of dove onto his tummy to stop his momentum. Hammer swing from McDonald and a stoppage near the sideline a while back now. Andrew Roy and Ben Spielman. I beg your pardon, it's Timon and Ben Spielman. Daniel Long, the observer, closest to it. Coming all the way back.
Overruled fast count. Huh? It was not a fast count. He called the fast count. The defense called a violation. I'm over. Yes, I'm
100% sure
yes.
violation of the fall release of disc.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's really harsh. That it was trapped in the sideline because of a bad violation.
Yes, that is what the marker did. Yes.
So where's the disc?
One. Yeah.
Jake, let's go!
Don't be fooled, that wasn't lightning. That was the stadium lights turning on as we're now less than 2 hours from sunset here in Southern California.
A sunset that we may not be witness to because it all of a sudden is pretty darn overcast too, and there is a chance of showers in the forecast for the evening. All right, thrower called a fast count. It was not a fast count. The mark called a violation. The disc went back, and we resume. On row.
Truck stop continuing to just work on that one half of the field. That right-handed flick half. What a throw from McDonald up the gut.
Somehow he saw the lane. Not sure how. Boxley has a lot of goals tonight there. His first assist to Jurek, and it's 13-11.
I mean, at this point, every single hold in this quasi-upwind direction is going to be unbelievably impressive and important as we get a look at Roy saving possession. We made quick mention of how important Pony's upwind hold was on the previous point, and on this one, this Truck offense just doesn't care how many small resets it has to throw, how much small ball and dribbling it has to do. It's just perfectly content, and there's trust. I don't know if I've used that word yet because I'm running out of ways to describe that offensive style that plays so close to the disc, but you can see that the trust is palpable. Hey, I'm going to find a way to throw a cheeky Oyo to Rowan, or I know Box is going to come open on the fourth side as the stall count rises. It's there. It's evident. This group is playing as well as it ever has with everything on the line.
And on the other side, Truck stop is being so efficient that you're starting to see some exasperation from the Pony defenders.
Okay.
Just kind of disbelief. They're giving everything they've got. It's worked throughout nationals. They've won convincingly in all their games by getting break after break after break. And they've only got one break in this game, and they're running out of time.
And there's no question this is the best offensive unit, the most well-oiled machine. Pardon any puns for the Chicago team, or if we want to be talking about an actual truck. But the most well-oiled machine that this Pony D-line has run into so far at this tournament.
Keegan lets it rip. Nickel chased by Hess, and Jimmy dropped it. Off Nickel's fingertips.
And Troy Holland is just ready to go right away because that's what this Truck D-line wants to do.
Jeremy Hess the other way. Cranston versus Lithio, and Fall trying to clean up the trash, can't do it, and he may have tweaked a hamstring in the process. Pops up all right. Alexandre Fall.
I don't think either one of these teams wants these last couple points to turn into a track meet. And that was a glimpse of what we saw there. Oh my goodness, Fall just inches away from a miraculous grab.
Gets a sub immediately. Fred Farah back in for defense.
Keegan put this throw on the money. And that's a grab Jimmy's made a lot. He'll be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, that's a nice catch if he makes it, but that's a drop.
Another crack at it here for the Pony O.
Ben Yacht is going, and Mickle with a bomb. A yard shy of the goal line, though, as Yacht hauls it in. Looking for a reset. And Yacht has made a call.
What's that quote from The Dark Knight where Harvey Dent says you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain? Pony was the hero when it slayed the Revolver Dragon. And now, in the eyes of the audience here, with a club and world title to its name, it's seen itself become the villain.
This might have been a fast count call again.
That was a fast count. And there's a violation is going to come in on one.
So that resets the stall count for Pony. You know, I was rewatching the Pro Championships final last night and then finishing it up this morning. And Ben Yacht looks considerably more grizzled today than he did when he was completely clean-shaven in North Carolina Labor Day weekend. Pony converts.
Well, that's just part of the playoff beard concept.
Yeah. 13-12. Yacht picks up the assist after the stoppage. Sam Little with, I think you could call that a Randolph cut.
Something like that. Boy, I'd love to hear what Brian Jones and Ben Van Hoevelen were saying right before BVH started walking off the field, making the selection for this critical line. Now just over 6 minutes away from the soft cap.
Yeah, I mean, they know they need to break twice, so every deep point here feels like a universe kill line. It's Yacht, Meeser, Schlor, Randolph, Little, Kocher, and Steven Stein for Pony.
Cody Mills and Brian Jones out there on the line giving some specific instructions.
It's a lot of brain power, but there's only so much you can do, and Truck is in the groove. It's in at the other end. And you see Malks, Monroe, McDonald, Boxley, Roy, Jurek, and Nissen.
And I'll be the first to say, when I learned Cody was joining the staff, my initial just gut reaction was, man, that's a lot of cooks in the coaching kitchen. But when you heard Brian Jones and other members of the Pony leadership talk after their world championship, they were so unbelievably complimentary of the strategic acumen that Cody Mills brought and the difference he made for the group. And that's not to say that I ever doubted Cody's mind.
Malk shooting it into the wind. It'll hang up for Jurek. And Truck Stop is within one of the finals.
I never doubted Cody Mills' mind, but he and Brian Jones have to find something else on these last couple points if the Pony O can hold here, because Truck's O has been non-stop all game long with the small ball, with the dribbling, and with stretching the field, both upwind and downwind. The younger Minnesota product showing the older Minnesota product what's what on that deep cut.
Well, now Pony's in a position where they need to hold and then break twice. It is a tall task against the Truck Stop team that has been almost flawless. 6 turnovers in the game for Truck Stop. Pony's only gotten one break. Before thinking about playing offense, Truck Stop can try to break with its D-line to win here. Truck 1 point away from its first ever appearance in the finals of Club Nationals. High throw and a fancy snatch of that one from Sam Little. Nickel wants it all. Into the wind, Kocher reading it, falls right into his face.
That was unbelievable. I've seen Jimmy do so many things in these games that we've broadcasted as his teammate in practice. This is just an unreal throw.
It's a tricky read because it was coming right over Kocher's head. He kind of had to do a turnaround, and then it just landed right in front of his chin.
And we talk about throws landing right in the breadbasket. I mean, I've used that phrase a lot, but that was precisely where it came down. Oh my goodness.
As pretty as it was, it's not going to mean much if Pony's D-line can't pull off a magic trick here. 3 goals, 3 assists for Jimmy. Such an incredible ultimate career. Another World Games gold medal in his trophy case from this past summer. No one on Truck Stop on the World Games team, Ian. But they have an incredible group of talented players, deep, crafty, embracing a system, a collaboration that is now 1 point away from the final. Roy centers to Malks. Pony needs a stuff and a score. Jurek on the under. Monroe trying to shake free of Meeser. Meeser defended it well. And now the reset required. And a high throw gobbled up by Boxley.
How about that Oyo right there?
Lefty backhand reset for McDonald. Jurek now guarded by Steven Stein. Meeser in Monroe's pocket, but he comes up empty. And a stoppage.
That kind of pressure right there. That's why he's been named a Defensive Player of the Year by Ultiworld in years past.
Truck Stop has done well with the huck, but you get the sense that they're trying to take care of the disc here and not bring about a universe point.
3.
Darryl Stanley and Alex Crew have put so much into building this foundation. The veteran leadership of Rowan McDonald, Jeff Wodach, David Cranston. Current captains Tyler Monroe, Troy Holland, David Bloodgood. They're on the doorstep looking for Jurek. Steven Stein is there, body to body. Jurek can't get it, but Johnny Malks comes away with it. And it is over for Pony. Truck Stop is moving on to the final.
Johnny Malks was standing still in the stack when this throw went up. You can't even see him in the frame. And what does he do? Oh, I see this is hanging. I better turn on the jets. And for the umpteenth time this game, the trailing receiver gets rewarded. Look at him at the bottom. He's got the visor on. He was just kind of jogging there at the front of the stack. Look at all the ground he makes up. Do not quit on these upwind hucks, folks. Those are the birds that are going to get the worms.
15-13. Truck Stop prevails.
And DC will go for the Triple Crown against Johnny Bravo tomorrow here in Southern California. Wow.
When moderate to severe ulcerative colitis persists, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once daily pill.
When UC got unpredictable, I got rapid symptom relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When UC held me back, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when UC got the upper hand,
Rinvoq helped visibly repair the colon lining. Check. Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and a chance to visibly repair the colon lining. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie could help you save.